Today we are going to talk about creativity, okay, and how to think outside of the box. So let's say that today we are going to shake the opera box, and we will have another workshop that not just with me, but with Chiara as well. And in this another workshop, we are going to talk about your personal boxes as artists, what you put inside your box, what you put outside, and we just talk about this. Today, we're going to shake the opera box, see what happens, okay? Let's start with a little game. Let's pretend that I don't know nothing about opera, but still I want to be a great opera singer. And so I come to you and I ask for a little piece of an advice. So I ask you, what do I need in order to be a great opera singer? What should I put in my box? You can answer, what do you want? What do you think I will need?
Be confident.
Sorry.
It's okay,
Sorry?
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say a good coach and good connections.
I didn't understand. I can't hear very well.
A good coach and good connections.
Good coach and good connection. Okay. That's one thing I put in my box. Something else?
Per me, it's a force, a forte voice to push to.
I need to be strong.
See.
Okay.
Okay, you can go, Olivia.
Be confident and take risks.
Confident and take a risk. I'm writing it down. Okay, willing to take a risk. Something else? No? I need...
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'd say definitely a stable technique.
Yes.
That's the very first thing, in my opinion. Then definitely good stage presence, acting skills, the ability to take critique and to work in a group.
Yes. Work in a group. Okay. Now I can be a great opera singer.
I think Hillary had something to say.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to say work ethic.
Sorry, I didn't hear. Work ethic, yes. So we have so many things. It's curious that the voice didn't come first, the voice technique. The first thing is like good coach, okay, is for voice, connection, be strong, work ethic, we say technique, willing to take risk. Okay, there is one thing that we never think about when we talk about opera, that is imagination, that we need to work with our own imagination. And most of the work we do is exactly about imagination. So we have this box, but sometimes we cannot have imagination inside the box. We just leave it outside of our box. And I kind of totally understand you, because I think I really admire you when you choose to do this kind of job, because you need to deal with so many things, because you need to know music theory, you know how to sing, you can speak so many different languages, and you have to deal with a lot of pressure. Sometimes you are like, to me, at least you are like jugglers, I don't know how is this the right word, that you have so many things that you need to keep going. So no wonder that there isn't so much space left for imagination, right? It's kind of the last thing it came to our mind when we think about, okay, what do I need? Too many things. So first advice I give you is good for an artist, always keep asking yourself how much space I have for my imagination or for my own feeling what do I feel when I'm singing this aria? Or you can also be very specific. What do I feel when I'm singing this little bit of this aria? Because in the end of the day, you are what you can be. I don't know if this image is strange, but it's very important to have good coaches, of course, but in the end of the day, there is always a lot of space where you are alone in some way. And you have to rely, of course, you have to be strong, but also you have to open your imagination, right? Okay, so.
Can I say something, Valerio? Can I say
Yes, of
something?
course.
I think what you said has a lot of meaning because we see a lot of great singers on stage that are so, well, of course, busy with their vocal performance that their interpretation sometimes is kind of flat and lacking. And it's too bad because maybe their notes are wonderful, but opera is way more than just singing notes. It's just about providing like the most complete form of entertainment that is available even today. So sorry about that. Please continue.
Yeah. I want to add that sometimes I work with very good singers, and sometimes they struggle with some areas, for example, and even if they are really focused on their technique, they don't get better. Because sometimes, believe it or not, it's not a problem of technique. Sometimes it's a problem of imagination. And when you fix the problem of imagination, sometimes you fix problem in technique. So it's very important, but we don't work so much on it. Okay, so we know that we have imagination outside of the box and maybe it could be useful to put inside of our boxes. Second thing, when we talk about opera, when we imagine the word of opera, I think that the first thing comes to our mind is the music, I guess. Am I right? We think opera and we say, okay, music. We never think about words. We can say that words are another thing that are kind of outside of the box. We don't play too much with the words. So I would like to start this workshop to play with you, to do a little game with the words. So let's start just saying, I don't know if you ever ask yourself what are words and where words were born. But let's say that words are sounds, we can say it, right? Are just sounds that we use in order to express something, right? So I also think that words were born by trying to express something. For example, the word fire in English was born trying to communicate that there was some fire somewhere and try to imitate the quality of the fire. In the word fire, we can feel, or maybe I'm crazy and I'm the only one who can feel the fire in the word fire, but I think you can feel it, right? Yes. At the same time, we have different languages. Fire is just the English word to say fire, right? I think that different languages just describe different characteristics of the thing itself. So the game I want to play with you is, let's take three different languages. We have English, fire. Italian is fuoco. French, how is French? Because my pronunciation is horrible. I think it's like feu, something like that. Can you help me?
Feu.
Feu. Okay. So I want you to focus just on the sound and try to see what do you feel, what kind of characteristic, which kind of fire there is in the word fire, and which kind of fire there is in the word fuoco, which kind of fire there is in the word feu. Am I correct? I hope. How is fire? Why is different than fuoco? They are the same for you?
Feel free to answer the conversation by unmuting yourself.
I would say that the French is it's much smaller and contained.
It's like
Sure.
a very small fire. It's not so
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is the difference between the French and the English? How is the fire?
I
I
feel
think
like
in English.
Just a
Sorry,
second. Sorry, Hillary goes first.
Oh, sure. And there's a morphing of the vowels into the R, and you can sense how quickly fire can spread.
In English, you mean,
In
right?
English, yeah.
Yes. To me, it's the same. When I say fire, it's something like suddenly, something like that, right? Fuoco, for me, it's not as dangerous as fire. For me, fuoco, it's like the one you have at home, in some homes, when you just lit up the fire in order to cook, right? Okay, so we have a small fire, a fire in our homes, in our houses, and then we have a dangerous fire. A way, I know it can sound like childish, but when we start to train our imagination, something starts to happen. Because imagination, it's like a muscle. We need to train our imagination. And it doesn't happen just in one day. It's like when we go the first day at the gym, we cannot think that I spent 1 hour at the gym and I went out and I'm fit. It's not like that. We have to spend some time. And I know maybe it can sound a little crazy to think about the difference, fire, fuoco, and so on. But it's like the first brick we put in order to play with our imagination. So,
Valerio, sorry. Olivia and Claire wanted to say something.
yes, of course.
I was just going to say that I feel like fire, the English word, is much more ominous. It's much more dangerous. Versus fuoco in Italian, I feel I consider that more like an amorous, like a love, like a fire, something that is contained very that is warm, but not that's something that'll burn you.
Yeah. So if I'm saying that the love I feel, it's like fire, it's something. If I say that love I feel, it's like fuoco, it's another kind of love.
Yes. Exactly.
Thank you, Olivia. Claire, it's your turn.
When I think of fuoco, I think of Mangiafuoco from Pinocchio and how he's like sort of I think of like an explosion. I'm not sure why, but I just think of like how Mangiafuoco, the character, is like very gesticulative, like he gesticulates a lot, and I think about like the colors red and orange more when I hear fuoco as opposed to fire, which is just like different in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Of course, it's not there isn't just one correct answer. It's how we feel. Most of the times we kind of feel the same thing because it's objective but not totally objective, right? Okay, another word, brother. In Italian is fratello. In French is frère. I guess something like that. Excuse for my horrible pronunciation. Okay. What do we feel about being brother in the word brother, for example? Or if you want another word.
Do I understand right that this has a lot, like the answers have a lot to do with our personal experience with each of the languages and not necessarily, though maybe also the sound of the word in each language?
Yes, it's kind of the pure sound.
Okay.
What pure sound is suggesting to you.
So as if I didn't know what it actually means, and just by hearing it would tell you what it makes me feel like?
You can also do this way. It's also a very interesting thing to do. in this case, it's like we prefer to say, okay, you know what brothers means, and we are searching how the sound of brother is representing, we say so, the brotherhood. It's something like that.
Maybe, so sure, it's a little bit of both.
Yes, it's a little bit.
So it's sound and your personal experience of the sound, the way you convey the sound through your understanding of the word.
Mm-hmm. So how brother is different than fratello, for example?
So fratello would be something very fuoco-like, so very quick.
Fratello, it's very quick, okay.
So let's say it will be, okay, to me it reminds of the telenovelas I would watch when I was a kid. So I would see my brother and I would scream, fratello in that case, run to hug the person, and off we go.
Okay, it's very good because it's personal experience.
That would be the Italian.
Sorry? Sorry.
Well, it also includes fratello. Something feels very quick to me about it.
Okay, but it's very good because it's a personal experience. So it's something that moves you in some way. So it's very important to connect with the kind of stuff, like first break for imagination when we work as artists. Okay, something else?
Olivia wanted to say something.
Yeah.
I feel like fratello, it almost feels like a brother who is young, versus a brother in English could mean somebody that is like I have two brothers. I have one that's older and one that's younger, so it could be of any age. And I also feel like brother in the sense could just mean like as a friend, somebody who's just very close to you, right? But still, because you consider them as family. Whereas when I say fratello and frère, for some reason I picture them younger, like a little brother.
Yeah, you like you want to hug more, like you are more protective with fratello. Ah, okay. A frère? How is frère? Which kind of relationship you could have with a frère, with that sound?
For some reason, I still think he's young. I don't know why. Something about, maybe because they both are fratello. I think it's something like small, and then frère. I don't know. It's just the way the vowel sounds or something. It just, to me, I associate it with a little boy.
Yeah. To me, when I think about brother, it's something like I see like two people with their beards doing like this together, like we are brothers, something like that. The word fratello for me, it's more when you want to hug someone, when you want to protect someone. So it's like if I say brother to you, you could be my brother, but maybe you can be my friend. If I say fratello, it's something that, okay, no, you are my brother. It's not that we are friends. It's frère to me, just, I don't know, but for me is like we have a connection for our mind. For me, frère, it's like in the same room, so many people, we are in opposite places in the room, but we have this kind of connection that we know each other. So for me, the Italian word, it's more you have to stay here because you are my fratello. Okay, another word that we use a lot in opera is love. In Italian, amore. Amour?
Amour.
Yes. How is love? How is amore? Amore, sorry. Amore. I couldn't English pronunciation.
I feel like in both Italian and French, it sounds more romantic than love in English.
In English, it's just love. Yeah, that's true. Many people, when we do this kind of thing, they say that English, it's a language to say things as facts. Okay, it's love. That's death. That's something else. It's like I have not this kind of connection, physical feeling connection with the thing itself. While Italian or French are more, yes, with the feel of the thing, right? So, okay.
Can I say something about this word?
Yeah.
Also, in Italian, we don't say io amo someone that is not usually our beloved one. So we don't say I love my mom. We don't say amo mia madre. Usually we could, but we don't say ti amo. We don't say I love you, mom, the way we will say ti amo, mamma. We will say ti voglio bene, mamma. So
Yes.
it's very different. Usually ti amo has a connotation that has passion in it. So amore is not just filial love, but it also has a lot more into it.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So I remember also when sometimes we also pick the word death, morte, and people say that death is just death in English. Morte, it's like someone who doesn't want to die, very theatrical. It's like that morte, something very theatrical. Okay, but what I want to point out now is that we start to do this little game with words. How can we start to work with what we feel when we deal with the words, and we have also to deal with some aria to sing. And I would like to make an example. The aria of Cherubino, you know, Voi che sapete. I don't remember, maybe someone of you say that is studying this area, but I think that all of you knows the area and also the situation. Cherubino is this young, very young man who start feeling love, but it's more a kind of passionate love, like this kind of sexual needs, and talk about it to some women, okay? That's the situation. There is some part, we just pick up one little part, when Cherubino says something like, gelo e poi sento l'alma abbampare. I don't know if you understand these words. It's like to say, I freeze, and then I feel my soul going on fire, something like that, okay? So I want to point out the word abbampare. Do you know what abbampare means? Someone knows, I know. I don't know if you are studying this, you know what abbampare means? It's not a problem if you don't. No? Okay. Abbampare.
Sorry.
Is it to burn up?
Yes, exactly. Abbampare. Abbampare is also the quality of this fire is the vampa in Italian, as the same meaning of fire. It's something it's a sudden fire. It's not.
It's like a blazing fire, if I remember correctly.
Yes, of course, it's a blazing fire. So it's very curious for me when I go to listen to the aria that the music, it's like something like something like that, right? Sorry for my singing. And I start to just play with aria, right? And ask myself, but if I were Mozart and I have the word abbampare, that is a blazing fire, I would have written it differently. I would have written something like something like that, right? So I keep thinking about it, and then I ask myself, but maybe I'm a better composer than Mozart. And because I don't think so, I start to ask myself, okay, he had this word, abbampare, and it chooses not to go up, but it chooses to go down. So it's kind of a very blazing fire, but down. So I start to have other images in my head, like if I am in the very inner part of a volcano. If it's not the vampa itself, but it's where you feel this vampa, this feeling. And like you feel in your guts, let's say so. I don't know if there is the same expression in English. In Italian, we talk about bisogni primordiali, like primordial needs. It's something that you really feel. And it's something that I really can connect with Cherubino in that part. Also because Cherubino is not a man, but he starts feeling this kind of desire that is more manly, let's say so. So his voice is lower, it's from his guts, he cannot control the situation. And what is very, very, I don't know, very funny for me is that after that, La ma vampire, I think there is some part that is like, na 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 na, something like that, right? And I really like, because after it goes down, there is one part that it's like, da, 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 like there are two different things he doesn't understand. What is happening to me? It's fire or it's ice. I really don't understand. So I'm not suggesting, I don't know the right pronunciation of this. Let's say, I'm not saying that you have to like move in a certain way or the director is about to tell you exactly this kind of images. But what I'm saying is that the music you sing is very detailed, incredibly detailed, because it's carrying emotions that are always changing. And it's very strange when our imagination, our thoughts are not as detailed as the music is. Sometimes I ask to singers, okay, what is happening here? And they tell me, okay, this guy is in love, is in despair. And I say, okay, but it's not enough for working with your imagination, right? It's like if I had to play Hamlet, you know? And all the thing I know is that, okay, it's a prince, but he's so shy. It's something like that. It's very difficult to go to be or not to be if you know just this wide information. So sometimes I like to do this kind of childish play that is, okay, I change the melody in order to see what happens to me if it's different. And all the times I find myself saying, okay, Mozart was right, I was wrong. The idea of the la ma ma ma, it wasn't a very good idea. So it's exactly for this reason that I'm telling you that imagination is a muscle that you have to train. Because if you just know that Cherubino is shy, it's very difficult to understand what is happening. There are some people that are really lucky, they just feel. They feel everything. They feel the music and they know. But other people need to work on their imagination. And after a while, you start to see many, many things. Another thing I want to point out is when I do the same question to the singer, what is happening in this scene? What is the character saying? Sometimes their answer is, oh, here the character is just repeating the same thing all over again. And I think, okay, but if it's just repeating the same thing, why should I listen to you if it's just the same thing? Because of the music, okay, but I don't need to go to theater and see you playing a character just because the music is beautiful, right? We need something more. So, for example, Michal, I don't remember because you picked up one aria that was Cavalleria Rusticana, right?
Yeah.
It's right. Okay. I have to sing this. Very difficult. One of the first things we can do is kind of start to have informations about, let's say, the environment. Okay. Where we are.
We're in a village. It's Easter morning.
Yeah.
Right in front of like the wine shop of Santusa's beloved mom.
Yes, and we are in Italy, right?
Yeah, in Sicily, yeah.
In Sicily. That's an incredibly important information because this comes directly from Verga, that is a writer. And so it's kind of you are lucky because if you want, you can go read the novel and understand better the word. But the situation there, it's very important because it's not about Italy or a little village. It's about Sicily in that time. And it's very useful for us if we understand a little more the world the character lived in. And that was a word that was incredibly hard for women. So we know that the character is fidanzata, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean, the word fidanzata?
God, what's the direct translation of fidanzata? Like, she like betrothed? Is that how you said in English?
Sorry?
Like a girlfriend, but it's like,
yeah,
it's like a lover.
Yes, yes. It's not very, very easy to translate because fidanzata comes directly from the word fede, that means faith.
Mm-hmm.
The meaning is that you are not married, but you have complete faith that your boyfriend is going to marry you.
Like bounded by faith, I would translate it.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
Because it was really incredibly important, the kind of word that women didn't have sex before getting married. But if you were fidanzata, it wasn't allowed. But, right? So if your fidanzato is in love with another woman, is a great problem because that was a word, just in order to make you understand how hard it was, that was a word that where if I were married with a woman, and I find out that this woman has an affair with another man, I can legally kill the women and the other men, and I don't go to jail.
Awesome.
At this law, I think, Marco, help me if I'm wrong, I think this law was in Italy still in the 60s.
Yep, it was still active until the 1960s. It worked also the other way around. So if a wife finds a husband with somebody else,
but I think never happened.
But
most of
the system was rigged, like everybody knows.
So this is a starting point, just to say, okay, so it's a very big problem for the character if his boyfriend is having an affair. It's like, oh God, I'm lost, something like that. And there is one part when she keeps repeating, am I, that is like, I was in love, right? So it's just repeating the same thing. How can we work when we have this kind of situation? So I'm asking you, Michal, what do you do when you have the same word, in this case, that is repeated 4 or 5 times? What do you usually think?
I usually try to just say to myself and see what it makes me feel.
Yes.
And I'm trying to find a reason to why is there a repetition. Am I trying to convince myself? Am I reaching a new understanding of some sort? And then once I have my mind set up, I go to the music and I see if the composer agreed with me or not.
Yes.
And then I see if what I want works, or if there is a place for debate.
Yes, yes. And you have already discovered something about this part. That, what do you think?
I think she's just getting more and more desperate at this point, because there's a huge, let me just open the score. Sorry, I just learned this like a couple of days ago. So let me open it up. It's like an inspiration. She's talking to his mom. So for me, it was the first time, perhaps, she's basically giving this information and trying to share. And then the second time, there's a place of understanding, and then the desperation, like mamo, lamai, lamai. So it's even spoiled, right?
Yes, and that's what is very good. It's not right or wrong, but what is very good is that you go there and try to find a personal relationship with that moment. Because if you go just to sing all the aria thinking, okay, it's desperation, you cannot put just desperation. It's just a word. We cannot put desperation all over the place. It's made of many things, right? So this one thing that you can do, because if I'm right, you say, okay, sometimes I think that they repeat in the same thing because they go more and more into it. So it's like we have desperation here, and then here, and then here, and then here, for example, right? And this is a good way to do. Sometimes I do something different. I like to think you as singers are also the playwrights of all the thing. So for me, for example, that moment, you also could think that is the story between them. It's like the first, am I? It's not I was in love, but it's like I trusted him. The second, it was like I had sex with him. The third, you can think, yes, I had so many times, and just in the last one, you can say, and so I'm completely lost. Otherwise, that plus, if you are saying something to another person, to his mom, right? You say, I was in love. In that kind of environment, it totally means I had sex with him.
I see.
Totally. If you say, yes, I was in love, it's sex. So it's a confession. So it's very hard. And so I don't want to try right now to say, okay, try to think this, but your singing is going to change if you take the kind of beat and you think, okay, higher, higher, and higher, or maybe you think, okay, story. I decided maybe I don't trust, then I trust, then I had sex, and now I'm lost.
Yep.
And I understand that if, sorry, I rephrase. Why we don't analyze the path, let's say the emotional path of an entire area, because it will be like going at the gym for the first time and wanting to lift a lot of weight. It's something that it's not so useful, and after a while you are so overwhelmed that you start feeling, and I should remember all of this stuff for singing. No way, I'm not doing it. So I prefer to give you just some tips for starting to build it.
Yeah, but this is extremely useful already, because it will just create a whole sentence instead of just trying to color it differently for the sake of coloring and trying to make this make me feel something. The actual building a story into it, and instead of saying mamo, lamai, lamai, ah, lamai, I would put like a whole story in between, in those pauses. I loved him when we did this, and I loved him when we did this. Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
Yes, yes, totally. So it's very good when you start to think how you can build up even more imagination or think in different way. Maybe next time you can try, maybe it's a story, maybe it's what she imagined. Because sometimes we do all the time when we talk about some other people, sometimes we assume the same patience of the other people. It's something that we Italians do all the time. We talk about someone that was enraged, and even if we are not, we start to say, and it was really angry, even if we are not. So if I'm talking to another Italian about a third person who is angry, and you look at me, you start to think that I'm angry too. So maybe it's the same with that part when there is a part when she talks about Turiddu, when say, oh, he came back, then he found she was with someone else. Because when you sing, you can be many things. So talking just about the character, it's too simple for the beauty of the music. Sometimes you are yourself feeling what the character is feeling. Sometimes you are in the imagination of the character, creating something else. Sometimes you are expressing something that the composer put there, but the character isn't aware. We say about Cherubino and the kind of Vulcano he had. Okay, you can decide if Cherubino is aware or is not aware. It's a total different kind of mindset if you think one thing or the other. And imagine to jump just from a thoughts to another one, exactly like a person who is talking to someone else. You start to be brilliant in doing it. You start to be really alive. And plus your body start to be your body. As audience, when I go to see some operas, sometimes I can see singers that are moving like they want to say, I was told to move like that. I don't know if you have the same feeling sometimes. I was told, not my decision. It's not, I don't have nothing to do with this, with this director. And it's sad because it's on the opposite side, it's very beautiful when you see a singer or an actor in theater and you start thinking that anything it is doing is coming from himself. It's like nobody can really tell you what to do. And there are so many choices that you can take in the middle of what you are told to do. Even if a director told you, okay, move like this and move like that. You are a lot of freedom. And I would like you to start to feel more free when you have to deal with opera, because opera is about, to me, it's not about music, it's about passion. And you use music to carry this passion. And for me, it's kind of, okay, it's different. Music is this incredible tool in order to investigate human being, right? So it's an incredible journey. The job you do is magnificent to me. And I'm sad when you give up your imagination. I say you just in order singer. I don't mean you actually do. So I would like to give you some little tips in order to, if you want, of course, to start working on your own in imagination, to start to go at the gym of imagination, right?
Valerio, can I say something before you give the tips?
Yes.
I wanted to add something that I think is very important for opera singers. Sometimes you might think that this kind of interpretation goes only on the bodily interpretation of your character. It actually goes way deeper. So if you apply this kind of technique to your singing, you acquire so much more color to your notes. You change completely the narrative of what your singing conveys, and not just in the opera, but also in recitals, in chamber music. Even if you don't move, this kind of exercise will bring much more depth into your vocal interpretation of a piece. So it's not just about how my body reacts to the scene, but it's deeply embedded in your song interpretation. It's very important, and it can change the way you interpret music and your singing. Grazie, Valerio.
That's it. But of course, because it's a little bit thinking outside of the box, we always are happy when someone say, okay, we have to think outside of the box. But then we really like our box, right? So we feel, okay, you asked me to do something that is outside of my box. I don't really want, I feel kind of discomfortable to do it. So you don't have to fear, I think, because it's an artistic job. So you're allowed to try and fail and try and fail and do silly things. You are free. It's not this kind of incredibly serious work that you are not allowed to play as a child. It's kind of a game, adult game, like it's not, I know adult game, it seems something like a Rubino. But I want to say that you can play, you have so many rules to follow, of course, but still you can play. So before I give you some little tips, I would like to ask you, if you want to answer, of course, if sometimes when you are on stage, you feel that you have to sing plus doing some other thing, like plus acting. I have to sing, and on top of that, I have to do so many other things. I have moved like this, I have moved like that. Do you feel sometimes like this? Yes.
I think the more that we evolve as artists, the more natural it becomes just to be combined as one, because we want to tell a story. And we tell it through our body and through our emotions and through our music. And it's all just intertwined. And that's what a professional musician does. It tells a story honestly.
Yes. It's like that you use this word that it's really right, professional. And it's also when someone is very young, there is also the risk that professional, it's all about being serious. And when you are so serious, you don't feel emotion because it's not so serious. If you are professional, you don't play because you don't do silly things. So you have to be professional, but even play is your profession. Even doing silly things is a very important part of your profession. And I ask you that because when you feel that acting is not helping the singing and the singing is not helping the acting, something is not really working because there isn't singing here and acting here. It must be all the same. You need to feel, I'm moving because I need it for this moment and I need it for the singing. And if you start to explore it and do things, most of the time directors are happy about it and start to say, oh, I was thinking that I really wanted to tell you, but it's not true. If you are there waiting to be told what to do, you risk to have the worst, the worst, I don't know if it's indication, in Italian we say indicazione.
Directions.
Okay. Then you have to fight kind of against of it. So as a director, I can tell you that we want creative people. We want people to say, okay, you have to do less. We really like when we have to say less, please, because it's like you do so many things that I just can pick what I like. And not to say, please, do something more. Please, move a little bit like this. It's your stage when you are on stage. It's not my play, my opera. It's completely yours. So I know that I continue to repeat because it's very difficult to give yourself the freedom to take risks. As you say at the beginning you say you must be willing to take risk. Okay, so something that you put in your box in order to be a great singer is keep asking yourself, I was taking some risks here, or I was trying to protect myself, maybe. It's important that you always check yourself. But checking is not like, I was right, I was wrong, I was right, I was wrong. This is a word where we always need a lot of validation, right? I think that you know this feeling. You have to do so many things and you need someone to tell you, great job. But sometimes if validation is the only thing that matters, it's not useful for imagination. It's not really useful for our words. So sometimes we need to have like the bravery, I say, to say, who cares? I'm trying, I'm doing something that maybe is wrong. That is the most important tip that I can give you, the most important advice. But okay, to be a little more specific, it's very important when you study your aria from an imaginative point of view, not to sing in full voice. I think you already know, but it's very good also for imagination to marcare, to mark. I think in English is the same. Why? Because when you sing in full voice, of course, technical difficulties are higher and you have less space for imagination. But when you do not sing in full voice, when you mark, you can start to build a relationship of intimacy with a character. You can start to play with the reading of the words. You are not so obsessed with the notes. How was the notes? How was the singing? And you start to explore. So it's very important to mark. I want to be even more specific. What you can do. For example, just a few tips is you can, for example, close your eyes and mark all of your aria, just trying to imagine what the character is seeing while singing the aria. For example, Cherubino, okay, is in a room. There is a lot of light, too much light, not so much light. There are two women, okay. Am I looking to those women all the time? Or there are some time where I just stop looking because I'm too shy, maybe. If you start to have this in mind, what is looking, and go through all of the aria, after a while, you have new images and start to build this kind of relationship also with the composer, like, oh, maybe it was like this in this moment. Then you open your eyes, close your eye again, and now you sing all of your aria, thinking about what the character is feeling. But I'm not talking about the emotions. I'm talking about, okay, we are in an open space, in a closed space. I'm feeling warm. I'm feeling, I don't know, like, oh, I'm freezing. It's changing. You start to feel all of this. Like, for example, the very famous aria, Mi chiamano Mimi. It's, I'm there and I'm viewing a new person. Where I am, what I'm feeling. The feeling part there, feeling, I mean, not the emotions, but the sensitive part, is very important there because we know the character as something. in her body that maybe she starts to feel right. So you have to do this kind of journeys that is just about your imagination. What is going up to your imagination? Mi chiamano Mimi is very beautiful because it starts like this kind of mountain climbing just for saying her name. So I start to feel that she is really embarrassed or something like that. And then she starts to talk about her life like a very normal thing. A very thing, and also the melody start to be like, and then this very normal person that has nothing special as she presented herself, started to talk about what she loves. And then the music started to be something completely different. As if you just close your eyes and mark it, thinking, what is she seeing? What is she feeling? You can have many, many surprises. Or maybe not. Maybe it takes a while. One last exercise you can do, it's you just think about one side of the character. We know the character can have many sides. We talk about Cherubino and we say, okay, there is the sexual part, he's also shy. And Mozart put all of this there, right? So you cannot take all of it and put in anything you have to sing there, right? So you just take one side, maybe, is Cherubino shy? Okay, we can say so. You close your eye and you sing all of it like you are really shy, like the shy thing is the only thing is there. Like I'm really scared by the love. Suddenly you start to understand that some parts are better for this kind of shyness than other part. Then you open your eyes, close again, another run, and you just go to the opposite thing. If the first thing is to be shy, the other thing is to be, I don't know, very malicious. I don't know if this word, we say in Italian, malizia, when you really think about sex and you are talking to people about this. And you completely change this thing and you are malizioso, let's say so. And you start to sing all the aria like this. Something like that. And again, some part will be more maliziose than other. So after all of these explorations, you have a lot of colors, a lot of choices. And if you start in full voice, it's too difficult to have room for doing that. Sometimes I work with some singer, they always want to sing in full voice. It's very difficult to move their emotion. It's like they want to say, okay, if all the notes are right, I don't care anything else. I don't care about imagination. And it's impossible to do something like this. But if you build this intimacy before going to the full voice, it's easier. It's way, way easier at this kind of relation. So I don't want to add so many tips because I know I have too many. You have something you can try right now. So I think that if you want, we can have the QA if you prefer, because I realized that I talk too much. So sorry if I'm talking too much. You want to ask something?
So we open the floor for questions. Feel free to either unlock your microphone or you can also write down your question in case you want me to read them. I have a question for Valerio. So you've been working on this technique for a while and you've been directing several shows and also operas as well. When you applied this technique, did you see any change in the performers that you were directing?
Yes, yes, yes. I can see a lot of changes, but as I said, it's always, you have to decide you want to do it. As I said at the beginning, at the end of the day, you stick to your box. So sometimes I work with some singer, they start to sing really better, and all the other singer in the company say, oh, you are really great. And then when they go on stage, it's like at the beginning.
Mm.
It's like, it's very difficult to trust your imagination, because we live in a world where, the professional thing that I say, we live in a world that you really think that your imagination is not going to help you. And so the stage is not the right place for imagination. I really struggle to this, because sometimes I'm just looking at the stage and I say, no, why? So it's very difficult to trust your imagination. Don't underestimate this difficulty, because it's there.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Olivia.
Yes.
What happens if an artist has a creative vision for the role, but the director does not approve? Thank you, Olivia.
Okay. First of all, I'm a director. You never say to me, what is your vision? Because the way you say things on the stage is doing things on the stage. If you start to say to me, I have this vision, it's like director starts feeling, oh, no, it's my vision. I'm paid for the vision. But if you start doing things, I can start to say, oh, that's good. And I want what you do to be my idea. I want to steal from you. So of course, I cannot guarantee you that it's going to happen all the time, because maybe I have kind of a vision that, I don't know, you are doing Mimi or whatever, and I say, okay, for me is in the space on the moon, and you are to be like this, and it's very difficult, but there's always space for your imagination. Even if you have to be very, I don't know, very still there, and I don't want you to move, you can express a lot of things just with your thought, your imagination. Imagination is very powerful, because I don't know if you heard about Stanislavski. You listen to this name. He was a very famous director, and he changed the way we study acting. And not many people know that he was in a continuous research of acting. And one part of this research, it was like the capability to read in the mind of other people. So they do this exercise, and it's written that sometimes they were right. Sometimes they start to do it, but I think it's something that I have experienced a lot of the time, like with my brother. I think you have, when you are very close to someone, maybe you start thinking about a song, a very old song, and after 2 minutes, the other person starts to sing that song. So definitely there is some power in what we have in our mind, in what we have in our imagination. And there isn't in this world any director that can destroy that power. So you should trust and you should fight for imagination.
Also, if I may add something, right now, nowadays, a lot of directors directing operas don't come from an opera background. So if you consider that, there's a lot of room for opera performers to bring their own imprint in their own interpretation. There's something to consider as well. The world of opera is changing, so keep an eye open and keep your mind open on all the opportunities that you will find in changing your interpretation and deepening it.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually have an experience working with like I sang in the chorus for the Calgary Opera last year.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
I worked with a ballet director. He directed the opera, and so it was very interesting, you know, seeing how he worked. And I mean, we didn't get to see a lot of the principal staging, but we did get to see like the final results, obviously. And a lot of people said, you know, he wasn't necessarily so focused on like emotions, yes, but that wasn't the main focus. It was like he created a lot of beautiful pictures with the scene. And so that was sort of his approach and how he did it, because, you know, as a ballet background and stuff, that's, you know, sort of what he's used to or making and stuff with his dancers. So it was, but everybody said how beautiful a production it was, you know, with his directing style. So it was very interesting seeing, you know, that sort of direction.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anna.
I tell you some secrets, some brutal secret about
Should I keep recording?
I don't, because I'm a director. I know I have many friends who are opera director, and I was assistant director, so I've seen it all. And opera director usually hate singers. They do not want to work with singers.
Sometimes.
All what they want is to work with their plastico, with their little model of what they imagine there. So they don't spend a lot of time thinking about direction. It's like, no, now is the part I have to work with singers. I hate it. And this happens because many times there is with the old singers, it happens a lot. There is kind of a battle between singers and directors. The opera directors are kind of the less respected guys in the opera, because it's like, you don't know about music, so you shut up. You cannot say nothing.
Sometimes.
Yes, sometimes. So the best director is someone, in my opinion, who understand theater and understand music. If you understand very well music, but you don't understand theater, it's very difficult to work with singer as actors. Otherwise, if you just understand theater, but you don't understand nothing about the music, you really don't know what is happening in the music. Like the thing we say, what happening in Cherubino, maybe it's impossible to give you something to work on. So I would like to, I have a dream that is about an opera theater where singers are better than actors on stage and work together with directors, with composer, even if most of the time they are dead, because I was in some very big production in Italy, and it's a nightmare. I can assure you, it's a nightmare. Even if you work with the chorus, is the chorus fighting with the singers, the singer fighting with the director?
Sometimes.
In Italy, it happens
more often than sometimes.
Yes, there isn't an opera where everything is, oh, we were so happy. It's very difficult. But sometimes this is going to, it's also because in Italy we are so passionate about anything that we need to fight all the time. But I didn't want to say bad something about the world of opera, but what I would like to say is that I think opera needs a change right now. It's changing, but it needs to change. And it needs to start from you, because you are the singer. So you really need to throw yourself there and use whatever you have, your imagination and any tool you have, in order to change it. Otherwise, I know a lot of people say opera, boring. It's not boring at all, right?
Thank you. We have a couple more questions.
Yes.
Shira, you have the floor.
Thanks. I have been struggling with one specific aria, that's Prendi from Donizetti's L'Elisir d'Amore.
Mm-hmm.
And I found, so I do come from a very, or a rather rich background of acting and care a lot about an emotional depth of every character. Yet I found that this aria just made no sense to me. And so it came to the point that when I tried to work on it and I bring it to stage and I bring it to auditions, it's just, I feel very unsatisfied with it. So I am, to this point, was very much able to fake it well enough to bring some kind of message. But I do find that something with the tone of the whole opera that is an absolute comedy, then the scene is touching, itchy, vulnerable. Of course, then comes the cabaletta. I found that I did not understand how to approach it. Of course, there is the text, there is the subtext, there is the relationship between the two, there is the whole build-up. What would you then suggest that I do in the point that I feel like I'm stuck, so it doesn't speak to me anymore? And it's a pity because it's a fantastic aria.
Yes, yes. It's difficult because it's also a very, it's a particular moment in the story, right? When it happens. And okay, you said it, she's talking to someone else and so on. But I need to understand if the problem is that there are too many things there in order to put all of them there. If you feel overwhelmed by all the things you need to express in that moment, is this the problem?
No, the problem is that there is no one single emotion. Of course, there is always more than one, but there is no one feeling that I sense is the right one to bring. So I feel like she tries to be very confident and say like, here, take, I release you and I keep my honor. Yes. You will not treat me like this. This is not the way to do it. On the other hand, she's actually very, very, very vulnerable. She's very upset. She's very sad. She doesn't want to admit it. She's actually very in love. And I find that none of them is sufficient enough to work together with the music. It's just not working for me.
Okay, so I'm asking you, you have the feeling that the music is not really following what you feel is there for the situation of the character?
I have more the feeling that I missed something and I just don't know where to look. Yeah, I don't have the feeling that I'm a better composer than Donizetti.
Okay, I think what you can do is start to play, as we said. When thing is too much complex, we need to make it really simple. We turn back to very simple thing. So you say, and you are right, that in that moment the character has not just one driving passion, but there are two different passions, at least two different passions, that are one against the other one, because she pretends to be something, but she is something else, or maybe she's not pretending. She is, in some moment, very self-aware of herself and say, prendi, per me sei libero, go away, all right? But sometimes it's very vulnerable, as you said. Okay, you cannot put all the thing together. So what I'm suggesting you is to try some of the little games that we say. Okay, you are sure that she's also vulnerable. Test it. Close your eyes, go to market, and do it all just out of vulnerability. Just out of that, to see how much vulnerability is there. Then you give another run and just do the opposite thing. She's not vulnerable at all, for all the area, okay? And then try to do many times, several times, and see if something happens. But you need some lightness, because when we want too much, the solution doesn't come. It's like when an actor wants too much to feel something. If you want it too much, the body say, no, Fuck you. We function in this way.
Yeah.
Our bodies, so you need, first of all, you don't need to feel all the weight of this area. I know it's complex, it's difficult, it's a very important moment. Like if you are good in that moment, it's kind you are good, okay, the character is okay, we can say so. You need to, not to be so overwhelmed by this kind of emotion. And if even this, it's not enough, you go really basic. Anything you sing, it's, okay, this is a good thing or it's a bad thing. Ci start, prendi, per me sei libero. Is a good thing? What's inside their note? Of course, when we work like bit by bit, we start to build the emotional path of the thing, and then you exactly decide when you put, okay, vulnerability here, okay, now it's more self-assured. So I think that what you need now is to start to play again, because I guess that you feel, oh no, prendi per me sei libero. It's too much. No, lightness.
Can I add something? Can I add something?
Of course.
It's like painting, because you can't do a Van Gogh painting just like this. So first you have to use some color, and then to add another layer, and then maybe change something and put some light here, another color. So really, I think I'm an actress, and if I want to do perfect or the whole thing from the beginning, nothing happens. If I begin working, as Valerio was suggesting, okay, first vulnerability, and I explore vulnerability, and I put the first layer all over the area, just as an exploration, as a play. And then I take it away and I work on powerful, the power of this character. After a while, you begin to build your colors, and you are in charge when and where put a little vulnerability, and then another drawing of power, and then maybe you discover something else. So I think the point is you have to train at the gym and not to be overwhelmed by all the things you can do, but little by little.
Thank you very much, Chiara. For those who don't know her, Chiara is one of our co-founders, a wonderful acting teacher, actress, and director.
Mm-hmm.
If I may, we have another question from Hannah.
Thank you, both of you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's like to be or not to be for the actors, the situation you are living. So it's too much. Get simple, try to get the fun out of it.
So Hannah, you have the floor.
Okay, awesome. I was just wondering, for you personally, as a director, how much work beyond obviously knowing like the notes and the rhythms and the words of the music and like a bit of the history about the work, how much do you expect the singer to bring like to the first rehearsal, for example, in terms of the character work that they've done? Like, do you prefer them coming with like more of a blank slate, or do you prefer them coming in with their own sort of history and their own ideas about their own character?
Okay, if I understand correctly, you asked me if I prefer that singers come to rehearsal with a very strict idea, or maybe with not idea. It's something like that.
Yeah, like with knowledge of the music and everything, but in terms of how much character work they've done, or how how many ideas they've sort of, come up with, because that can sort of influence how they play the character and stuff too. So how, like, would you prefer that they come in like more of a blank slate, so that the director can sort of mold the character in the way that they envision in their production, or would you prefer that they come in with their own ideas?
Yes, it's whether I prefer one thing or the other the singer, as exactly as the actor, will come at rehearsal with what is important for him or for her. So the most important thing for me is that is willing to play and willing to change, because I can also change my mind during the rehearsal. It's because you are a human being, and I'm not a director who like to play with the miniatures of the thing. I like to play with human beings. So if I don't know you, I cannot completely imagine exactly what I want you to do, because maybe it's not the right thing for you. So for me, it's like more a state of mind that
the flexibility.
Yes, that we can play together, because maybe sometime in the middle of the process of rehearsal, I understand that, sorry, I was wrong. I told you that you have to move like crazy, but I was wrong. You have to do, and I like when I have the freedom to do so, and it's not like the singer start to think, oh, you did your homework really well. So for me, it's like more about the connection we can build together. When I'm a director, I'm there in order to help you. Mm-hmm. So that is very important for me. And I cannot do if I have a strict idea and you have a strict idea and they fight together. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Any other question? Okay, so Valerio, do you have any final remark before we begin with the ending part of the workshop?
No, I don't want to repeat again, trust your imagination and something like that. I know that what we say can sound like not so practical, but I can assure you that it's a very practical work to do that opens a lot of doors. So start to try your imagination, because it can be very good. And that's the work we do a lot in our school in Montreal. It's about, okay, take some risk, feel yourself as an artist who takes risk, and we work a lot on what is there in your area. So there's nothing more to try and to trust your imagination. Again, I've said it so many times, but I really believe it.
Yeah, I really want to underline the fact that we started this school for many reasons. And one of the reasons why we really believe in it is that we truly believe that opera work is true, deep performance. So we know that opera singers are amazing athletes in many, many ways. But we also believe in opera singers as performers, deep, meaningful, outstanding performers. And that is basically what we do in our school. Speaking of school and speaking of our next workshops, before I let you go, please allow me to share the screen for the next appointments in case you want to RSVP. Goodness gracious, I don't know why there's nothing here. Just okay, there we go. I have too many windows open. Give me a second. You should be able to see a picture. Am I correct? Can you see the picture? All right, so today was Play with Arias that you see here on Sunday, July 5. Then the next one, we have a total of 5 actually. There's an extra one that will come, but we decided to focus on the first 4 first. So the next one will be on Sunday, July 19, always at 2 p.m. It's called Own Your Creative Process, and it will be hosted by Rosa Tremblay from the Atelier Lyrique de Montréal. It's once again about creative.
No, Marco, sorry, Marco, it's ours. It's Valerio and mine.
Sorry about that. Sorry, Chiara. So it's Chiara Valerio once again. Would you like to introduce the workshop?
It will be a sort of second part of this workshop of today. About Valerio spoke a lot about thinking outside the box, and it's about the box. So our tool and how we work as different human beings. So to discover our own tools on stage.
Thank you very much, Chiara, and sorry about that. So the last one will be performing artists beyond the stage, and this is a workshop that I deeply care about. So like, as you may imagine, the artist world is beautiful, wonderful, creative, but it's also a difficult world to navigate. And sometimes we feel like we love what we do. We feel like we kind of have to do it because we have no other choice. Sometimes it might happen. Maybe it doesn't happen for you, but I know a lot of people who are in a similar situation. And this workshop is about talking about the amazing abilities that you are building up right now as performers, and the way in which you can utilize those abilities to build up many careers that are either the performing arts career, or around the world of performing arts, or around the world of teaching, or you want to become a guru and a public speaker. There are so many things that you can do with the amazing abilities you have. So Sunday, July 26th, we're going to talk about that. And we also are going to have a few guests, opera singers that are also doing a career in something that either is related to the opera world or is completely unrelated. And they're going to share their thoughts with us on how their opera upbringing, their skills that they discovered during their path in learning opera help them with their own career. So these are the series that we're going to focus on right now. Of course, everything is free. The only thing we ask you is to RSVP, because they're all limited. There's a limited amount of spots that we can allow in order to have a better touch with the people that are part of it. So if possible, please RSVP. Well, as soon as you feel it.
Sorry.
It means to book a spot, basically. So you can write an email to our email address that you know already, and let us know that you would like to participate. We'll put you in the participant list, and we'll be super happy to have you there. Any final words, Valerio, Chiara?
I think I've talked enough.
If you have any question anytime, feel free to contact us and we can share and speak about things.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for being here today. If you want, you can unmute your microphone to say hi to everyone. And this closes our workshop for today.
Hi and bye.
And bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. It was a pleasure. Ciao, grazie.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.